Hi guys, this is my first YouTube video and I was contemplating whether to do this video or not, to be honest, because sometimes they're saying that it's best to keep what you're thinking to yourself. But I wanted to do this video really as an inspiration for other people because for the past how long, look at me, oh my god, I look so tired, greasy face, oh, eyes are tired. But do you know what? Take me as you find me because I wasn't gonna try and be anything but myself. It is, what's the time? 20 past 10 at night. I'm shattered, but if I don't get this down, I just won't do it. So today I left my job. So I handed in my notice, 8-week notice as of today. So in 8 weeks' time, I will be officially unemployed. I'm not going to go into the whole rigmarole about my journey, but I am a social worker, quite a new social worker. I've been practicing for about 2 years. It ended up being something that I thought it wouldn't be. As much as the research I'd done, as much as I thought it would be the industry for me, it just ended up being a very stressful, very taxing emotionally, physically, mostly emotionally, to be honest. And I just didn't feel like I was thriving in the profession. Don't get me wrong, I think I was good. I think I'm good as a social worker, as that professional, as in building relationships, meeting people, etc., etc. However, I didn't think that that position was really enabling me to do my best and be my best, and a position where I could actually thrive. It almost felt like you took 100 steps back and 2 steps forward every day. Yeah, I worked for a local authority, and yeah, it was really tough. It was just a really tough environment to work in and to stay present at all times because there's so much happening with children, families. It just gets to the point where you're just so emotionally drained and, yeah, so discombobulated, if that's a word, with how many people that you see, and you can't be like that in that profession. Sorry. You have to make sure that you're on point. And it got to the point when I was working pretty much around the clock. So I'd start at 9. Sometimes I won't get home until 10 o'clock at night, on duty constantly, doing late. And I have my own family, and I didn't really feel like I was in a position where I was always prioritizing them. Sorry, my lips are so dry. Look at that. Anyway, I'm going to continue. Um, yeah, so I left that position, then took a break, went into this position that I'm in now, which is another statutory position, but it was early intervention, and I thought it would be different. And at the beginning, it was very different. I really felt like I was working with the families and things were going well. I had a great manager. There was less caseload. You could really get to know the family so you could implement meaningful work. But after about 6 months, that all changed. Social work reform came in. And if you don't know what that is, it's like a national reform of social work. So like they're merging roles together. They're changing the way that social workers work, the way that early intervention workers work. And it is a national thing. So it's not just like institutional in one organization. It is a national rollout. So automatically that was going to affect my role. But I didn't realize it would affect my role so quick, which it did. Case numbers started going up, and I really started to have mental health issues. And I said it with my chest because we don't speak enough about mental health. Mental health is such a big thing at the moment. There's so many people out there who are really struggling with their mental health. And because you just see somebody walking around every day, doing their everyday thing, getting on with what they need to do, we assume that they're fine. But mental health sometimes, you know what I mean? It can put a facade on, like you're fine, but inside, like you're crying, you're screaming, you need help. So I felt that was happening to me. My mental health just wasn't in the right place. I wasn't present. And I was going and going and going and pouring into families and just, I was pouring into families and just not really pouring back into myself. So it just became unattainable, to be honest. And because I'm that kind of person that's always worked in local authority, it was almost like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to carry on, I have to carry on, because that's what society tells you, right? You get a job, you get a qualification, and how dare you leave it? How dare you pursue bigger things for yourself? You must stay in this job because you've put all the effort into your education. You've applied for this job. You've done all this effort to get where you are. You should be grateful. And don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for the job. I've met some great people under great management. I met some amazing families. I've done some great work. But at the end of the day, it's gets to a point where you have to prioritize yourself and look at yourself and think, am I giving the best that I can do today? After today, how is today going to impact my mental health? How is it going to impact my weekend? It was getting to the point on the weekends I couldn't even enjoy it because I was overthinking about Monday, overthinking in my head, oh my gosh, Monday's coming, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. I wonder what happened to this family. It becomes very much overwhelming. And that's what was happening to me, I felt very much overwhelmed, very much, it was just consuming my day. And every day it got worse, it got worse, it got worse, it got worse, until I literally went off sick with mental health issues because it got to the point where I just couldn't focus in my job. I spoke to my manager about it and she was lovely, and she offered me support and stuff. Well, not her directly, but support that the organisation could give and stuff. But it just wasn't enough, to be honest. What they were offering wasn't enough. And I didn't really feel like what they could give me could actually change where I was at that time. And I got back to work and I tried and it just became harder and harder. And the headaches and the migraines and the non-sleeping. So today I handed in my notice. And you know what? I don't know what after 7 weeks is going to look like for me. But it's okay not to know. Like, I remember scrolling on YouTube and doing silly things like going on Google, trying to type is it okay to leave my job? And what does it look like after I leave my job? And getting people's opinions, which is great. And I'm making this video because when I was looking for opinions about leaving my job, there was a lot of YouTube, no offense, there was a lot of YouTube videos that, gave the glorious side. Oh, I left my job and, it was meant to be and I got into my purpose. But I just wanted to keep it real. Today, like I said, the 23rd of June, I think it is, and now 10:30, I left my job and I've just stepped into faith. I'm a spiritual person. I believe in God and I stepped into faith. I don't know whether this was the right thing for me to do, but all I can do is go with my gut and go with how I felt in the moment. And me staying in that position and trying to get over feeling the way that I was feeling would actually cause me more harm than good. So I had to make the decision for myself, but also my family. I didn't want to make my little girl see her mum crumble or coming home every day frustrated, angry, tired. It's no fault of her own, you know? And as her mum, I have an obligation to protect her, emotionally. And how can I do that when I'm not emotionally well? If you understand what I mean. So I'm just hoping, like I said, it's my first ever YouTube video. I'm just doing this for people who are out there who are thinking about leaving their jobs. Look, if it's costing you more than your peace, more than your sanity, right? If you're dreading, I'm not telling everybody to just go and quit your job because you've had a bad day. No, I'm saying over time, if you feel like the job is taking more out of you than it's actually putting in, then you should maybe consider leaving. If you feel you wake up every day and you cannot stand your job, maybe that's a chance to think about, is this job really for you? I'm not saying you could leave today. Maybe people say that, you can plan it for weeks and weeks ahead, be financially stable, but I didn't plan. I left my job because I know for my own sanity, for my emotional wealth, because I believe that health is wealth, I had to leave that job. I had to make that decision. And it's a hard decision because, like I said, we're taught to stay in a job, get a pension, be stable, be financially okay, and be in a place where you know what's coming next. And that's what makes us have anxiety. That's what gives us depression, because a lot of people don't know, or don't feel like they know, like, what is coming next. But anxiety is just a way of protecting us. It's to protect us from these fears that we have. That's why we get anxiety, and that's why we have these feelings in our body. These overwhelming feelings of anxiety, because it's just fear of the unknown. But sometimes, until you step out and just do something outside the box, you'll never know what the other side looks like. And then from years to come, you'll be sitting back thinking, oh gosh, I wish I had taken that step. So look, this is not a video to say you hate your job, leave tomorrow. This is a video to say that I am no YouTuber, I am no influencer. I'm just a woman that's come on here today speaking her truth and saying, for me, leaving my job with no plan at this present time is the right thing for me. I can't say it's the right thing for me in the next month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. But today, it is the right thing for me. Because as soon as I said those words, I felt a weight lifted. And I feel like that is all where I wanted to be. I wanted to feel a weight lifted. So guys, this is going to be a very short video. I will touch base again, and like I said, this is my first video, so I'm just doing it completely unfiltered. It's unscripted. I'm just literally here talking my truth, and I'm going to post this, and hopefully somebody can see this video and just maybe not even gain inspiration, but just gain insight from someone who is human, someone who was in a situation that they didn't like and they made a change. And if I can do it, where I was so fearful and talking myself out of it 1,000 times, you can do it as well. So I think to end this off, I'm just going to say, look, you don't need to be in any situation that doesn't serve you. If you feel that the situation does not serve you, and this can be a job, this can be a relationship, this can be a friendship, this can be any sort of relationship. If it does not serve you, and if it is pouring out of you more than it's pouring in, then maybe you should consider leaving. But thanks so much, guys, and yeah, hope to speak to you guys soon. You take care now. Bye.